Now let's look at the Pacific, where two major powers are locking horns. On one side is the Western alliance, led by countries like the US and Australia. On the other is China. What's playing out is a turf war. Both camps want influence on Pacific states. Their latest battleground is Tuvalu, a small island country between Australia and Hawaii, with a population of just around 11,000 people. Tuvalu is being aggressively courted by the West, and it seems to have worked, because Australia and Tuvalu are now signing a pact. Canberra is offering the island security and protection against climate change. Australia promises to help Tuvalu in case of a major natural disaster, a health emergency, or an attack by an adversary. It's a sign of the times. Earlier, allies promised security against an enemy country. Today, climate change is also an enemy. It threatens to wipe out entire islands. So security pacts include an insurance clause against climate change. This one talks specifically about climate migration. Australia will extend residency permits to the citizens of Tuvalu. It will allow 280 people to migrate from Tuvalu to Australia every year. But what's in it for Australia? What does it get in return? It gets a veto, the power to dictate Tuvalu's security policy. Any security pact they sign in the future will have to be okayed by Australia. That is the deal. Australia had announced it last year. It was being called a done deal, but then there was a hold-up. Tuvalu was heading into an election, so the deal had to take a backseat. There were fears that a pro-China government could come to power and decide to kill the agreement altogether. That would have been a major setback for the West. Tuvalu is one of the few Pacific nations they can bank on. It is among a small group of nations that officially recognizes Taiwan and that maintains diplomatic ties with the island. The Pacific has a total of 15 countries. Just 3 of them recognize Taiwan: Tuvalu, the Marshall Islands, and Palau. And Beijing is trying its best to turn this around. Tuvalu had elections in the month of January. Before the polling, a pro-China candidate was the frontrunner, a man called Steve Painu. He has served as Tuvalu's finance minister, and his approach was quite transactional. He was open to recognizing China in return for a better deal. Consider what he said before the election, and I'm quoting, "As far as I'm concerned, it boils down to whichever country offers the greatest support to achieving Tuvalu's developmental priorities and aspirations." But his pitch had few takers. He was beaten by Feleti Teo, Tuvalu's Attorney General and now Prime Minister. And here's something we must tell you about their system. This island country does not have political parties. Their parliament has just 16 seats, so all lawmakers contest as independents. And once elected, they vote amongst themselves to choose the Prime Minister. And this time the lawmakers chose Feleti Teo. The Western alliance backs him too. Earlier this month, the Prime Minister said he won't abandon Taiwan.
Ties with Taiwan are purely based on democratic principles, and they have been very loyal to us, and we have likewise been very loyal to them. And their presence on the ground has been quite visible.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't caused us any major difficulties that I'm aware of. And as far as my new government is concerned, there are far more pressing developmental needs of the country than to invest and engage in the two China debate.
And now he's reaffirming that commitment by signing a security pact with Australia. Tuvalu is taking a principled approach here. Remember, this is just a small island nation of 11,000 people. Yet it is taking on China. Tuvalu says it's a democracy and Taiwan has been loyal to it, so it will keep backing Taipei. And while the West will welcome this stand, they must also realize that China will not retreat. It will keep mounting fresh challenges. So when it comes to these smaller partners, the West will have to put their money where their mouth is.